Hello, this is vlog 5, and for this vlog, we had to watch 3 movies. So I'm gonna go ahead and start with the movie Amistad. Okay, so Amistad means friendship in Spanish, which is pretty ironic because that is not what this movie has to do with. So in Amistad, the main focus of the film is the depiction of the slave trade and how the Civil War pretty much started up and began. It takes the approach to teach viewers the history on how slaves were mistreated and shipped to America. And from this one, they're from Cuba, so there were slaves in Cuba and then they're taking them to America. And it shows the insides of the courtroom, and it has John Quincy Adams, and it gives you a process of pretty much the hardships that it took the process it took to free the slaves. So I'm gonna go ahead and start with the myth. So the first myth is Cinque fighting a lion. So he's one of the characters. He's one of the slaves. The other myths are the 2 Spaniards whom the slaves did not kill in order to navigate the ship, the voyage of the Middle Passage, the abolitionists, and another one was when John Quincy Adams refers to the Declaration of Independence and says, and I quote, "I know of no other law that reaches the case of my clients, but the law of nature and of nature's God on which our fathers placed our own national existence. Circumstances are so peculiar that no code or treaty has provided for such a case. That law, and its application to my clients, I trust will be the law on which the case will be decided by this court." So that stood out to me, and that was just such a special quote because, especially me, like I want to be a lawyer, and it was just so interesting to see this whole process of how they were able to work this out. And another myth was this, how the Civil War goes and starts because of slavery. Ritual. So the passage that the slaves must endure, like the slave trade, the Middle Passage, the horrible conditions they're placed in, slaves being taken away from their homes in Africa, the inhumane treatment of slaves, the Civil War, and social injustice. And then cinematography is, I thought it was a true story. Steven Spielberg directed it, and light humor was used to ease attention, so it's pretty different. So the next movie I had to watch was The Cause. So in The Cause, more of a historical approach is taken to show the battles between the southern and the northern states. It shows the election having to do with slavery and the presidency. Of Abraham Lincoln. It includes the secession of the Union, and it really focuses on the struggles and battles that had to be fought in order to stop slavery. So the myths are the battle between the South and the North, slavery, the parts and reasons as to what led to the beginning of the Civil War, the election of 1860, which was very critical in slavery, the Union or secession thereof, Abraham Lincoln, Fort Sumter, and then the ritual was the Civil War, slavery, injustice, and laws in society changing for, a more progressive way of life. And so the last movie I had to watch was Django Untamed. So in Django Unchained, it's different than the other movies we had to watch. The main point is still slavery, but the movie this time takes a more personal approach, and it involves a love story and a friendship story, and it makes it more relatable to the viewers, and it's very impactful because it really does make you realize that slaves were regular people such as ourselves, and they had everyday problems. They fell in love, they made friends, like they had, of course, they're human beings, and it just really goes to show like how bad slavery really was, and it really impacts the viewer, making it more personal. The myths from Django Unchained are being able to purchase slaves like property, the tragic love story between Broomhilda and Django, which is his wife, slavery and how the slaves are treated, and then Ritual is the pact between Dr. Schultz and Django, the journey to retrieve Broomhilda from Candyland Farm in Mississippi, and the bond between Django and Dr. Schultz. And the cinematography, Jamie Foxx was in it, and it has the Texas Western scenery. Okay, well, that was my blog.